Hey, this is Kenny's Audiophile Record Reviews. Thank you very much for viewing my video. As always, please like and subscribe. That would help me out. I really appreciate that. In this video, I'm gonna recommend that you listen to two of these Impulse Jazz records. My previous video, or a couple of videos, not my previous one, I mentioned a couple of Impulse Jazz records. Thought I'd mention two more pulled from my Impulse Jazz section up here. Those are original pressings, or close to original pressings. No reissues in that section. I have my Impulse reissue albums spread out throughout my collection. But I'm going to mention two Impulse Jazz records. I'm going to start with this one. Freddie Hubbard. This was issued or recorded in 1963. It's called The Body and the Soul. Freddie Hubbard. It states inside the gatefold that says Freddie Hubbard was 25 years old. Wow. Here's the back of the cover. Inside the gatefold. Inside the gatefold has some staining in it. This was purchased at a thrift store probably, gosh, 25, 30 years ago. But this album has a host of fabulous musicians. If you cannot see it, above the song listing, I'll give you just a small list of the great musicians on this underrated jazz record. Before I do it, I'll show you the label. It's close to the original label, I believe. This is a stereo version of the record issued on Impulse Jazz record. This one has the records. This has the ABC logo on the label, as you just saw. Again, it's a stereo record, but on various tracks on this album includes Wayne Shorter, Freddie Hubbard, just some musicians of note, Cedar Walton on piano, Joe Jones drums, Reggie Workman bass, Curtis Fuller, Jerome Richardson, Eric Dolphy. Who else do we have here? I already mentioned Wayne Shorter. Just many others. I think I mentioned Cedar Walton. If not, Cedar Walton on piano, Clark Terry, Ernie Royal. There's a lot of great musicians on this record, this Impulse Jazz record. Now, Freddie Hubbard, again, he's playing more of a traditional, straight ahead, beautiful post-bop jazz probably. Whereas in records like this on that I reviewed this record, gosh, several videos ago, his Skydive record is more of a like a jazz or jazz fusion, more contemporary type jazz at the time that CTI jazz record was doing. I reviewed that in his famous Red Clay album, that groundbreaking Red Clay album, which is amazing. But so is this. This is a nice jazz performance by Freddie Hubbard. And he has some great performances on the song, like, for example, Body and Soul. This is a magnificent, really jazz, just pure jazz. Those of you who are into, like, acoustic jazz, you need to check this out. And by the way, I don't play music on my channel, my videos, as you all know, because of copyright infringement issues. But those of you who are new to my channel, that's the reason why I get my video taken down and get a strike on my channel. I don't want that. I'm trying to stay conservative away from that madness. So hopefully you can listen to these great records on YouTube. But the song Body and Soul, his interpretation of that song is actually quite good. You want to check that out. And the song Carnival, that is a great big band sounding version of the song Carnival, with an amazing performance by Freddie Hubbard. Freddie Hubbard, for the most part on this record, is probably like maybe a little bit to the left of the center of the soundstage, and that's a great location for a trumpet player soloing on a record. I think on the first song, I think Freddie Hubbard is in the left speaker, if I recall, Body and Soul. But other than that, he's primarily, if I recall, around the center of the soundstage. And his trumpet really sounds beautiful, spectacular on this record. And there's some other pieces on here. Clarence's Place and Aries are just magnificent jazz pieces. You want to check out Aries, Clarence's Place. Those are just, just the play of the trumpet and the play of the band and how, cohesive together these musicians, these great musicians are on this record. It's just like I said, if you're into traditional acoustic jazz, this is a magnificent performance by Freddie Hubbard. Again, I know his other CTI, some of those records get some hype and praise. This one deserves some as well. Check out Freddie Hubbard, The Body and the Soul. And in particular, you want to check out the song Aries just to get a good representation of his playing on this record and the musicians on this record. And Eric Dolphy is on here, and he has a nice, very interesting, very unique solo. I think it's on Clarence's Place. I believe it's in the left speaker, if I recall. Wayne Shorter, Eric Dolphy, and Freddie Hubbard have really nice solos on the song Clarence's Place. Check out this album. If I were to judge just the performance, I'm going to give it an 8.5, a great performance by Freddie Hubbard, and a sound about an 8. My copy, although it sounds good, it was slightly distorted in some areas. Not a huge complaint, but it could be because of pressing of my record. There's a nice sounding record, by the way, in terms of the dimension and just the detail and the genuine presence of the instruments. A very, very nice sounding record, I must say. Performance 8.5, a sound of 8, a great performance by Freddie Hubbard on his album, The Body and the Soul, on Impulse Records. Again, this was recorded in 1963. And I believe Rudy Van Gelder was one of the engineers. Frank Abbey and Rudy Van Gelder, engineers on this magnificent Freddie Hubbard album. Now, the next one I briefly mentioned, this is a magnificent jazz vocal performance, in my opinion. It is an example of how jazz vocals recorded around that time. And this is, again, on Impulse Jazz, Lorez Alexandria. It's called Lorez Alexandria, the Great. And that's about accurate, too. It says here this was recorded, I think it was recorded in 64. Yeah, recorded in 1964. And this has some fine musicians as well. And this has some staining on the inside of the gatefold from the previous owner. This was a decades ago thrift store find. But if you cannot see the musicians integrated into the song listing, and also the staining, I apologize for that from the previous owner. I will mention some of the musicians on this great, magnificent performance by Lorez Alexandria. I mean, you have on here Bud Shank on flute on some tracks. Paul Horn is on here. He has a nice solo on one of the songs. Wynton Kelly, Jimmy Cobb, drums. Like I said, Wynton Kelly, piano. Victor Feldman, piano and vibes. Victor Feldman has a nice solo on the song I've Grown Accustomed to You. And there's a nice solo by Paul Horn on one of the songs. I'm trying to figure out which one it is. Maybe it'll come to me by the end of this video. But he has a very nice solo on one of the tracks on here. But this is a magnificent vocal performance, because Lorez Alexandria is in the middle of the sound stage, maybe slightly to the right of center, but you hear like the echo in her voice at times. It sounds beautiful and dimensional. And this was recorded very well, in my opinion, in terms, just like to some degree the Freddie Hubbard album, although I think this was recorded better, in my opinion, where you hear just the genuine feel of the instruments and the singer in the room. If your system is set up great or good. I listened to mine on my Rega P8 turntable with a feather-free cartridge. This was absolutely an enjoyable listen in terms of a vocal jazz performance. Some of the songs on here just fit her like a glove. the song Over the Rainbow. She does a great version of Over the Rainbow with Wynton Kelly piano, Jimmy Cobb drums, Al McKibben on bass, and just some of the way the band sounds on this record, integrated with Lorez Alexandria's voice. This is one of those late night listens, as some of us mentioned in the VC about jazz listening. Lorez Alexandria should be added to that list. She doesn't get the prop she deserves in the VC and the jazz community, as far as I'm concerned. She was a magnificent jazz singer. This is a magnificent record, in my opinion. I would judge this record in terms of sound and performance. They both get 9s because of just the dimension of her voice and her singing. It just sounds, it sounds like a singer. It should sound on recording, is what I'm trying to say. But there's one song on here where she is, doing her fingers, and finger popping, and she gets credit for finger popping on one of the tracks. I was listening to the song. It's called My One and Only Love, and that's a beautiful performance by Lorez Alexandria on this album, My One and Only Love. And that's the song where Paul Horn has a great flute solo. I believe it's in the left speaker, if I recall. But when I was listening, I heard her finger popping. I said, God, that sounds like finger popping. It sounds kind of real there. You can hear it in the recording, and they give her credit on the musician listing on here. Finger popping by Lorez. Performance 9 to sound 9. Lorez Alexandria, underrated jazz singer when you think of the scope of jazz. Lorez Alexandria doesn't get her props. Check out this record on YouTube. Lorez Alexandria, the magnificent jazz vocal performance if you're into acoustic traditional jazz. What a magnificent record that is. Please leave your comments in the comments section below. I appreciate it. Please like and subscribe. That would help my channel out. And also check out those Amazon affiliate links in the description section of my video. Even if you click on those links, don't buy those products. And by the way, I get a commission for those products. If you click on the links and buy something else that you truly want to buy and need, I still get a commission for that sale as well. That'll help my channel out. Thank you very much for viewing. God bless, strong love, and keep the peace worldwide.